the Korean casters weren't mean, right? But I have to say,
I think they're
being mean to defenseless teenagers is my thing, Doa. That's my thing. He can't just come into this broadcast and take it away from me.
I don't think he took it away all that much. I mean, he complained about a lot of stuff like the chairs and everything. We had no idea that was coming, by the way.
We're always surprised by the video.
We are. That's one of the joys of working here, right? You just never know what's going to happen. Yep.
Yeah, and we'll see if that comes back or not.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I gotta say, Google Translate's getting a lot better though. It was almost readable that time. It's pretty good.
Yeah, Flame is a cabin apparently. I like to take
our cabin Flame. Yes.
Rustic vacations inside of Flame.
I thought that's what Thorin wanted to do. Oh yeah. Well, it's on to match number 2, guys. There are the ROX Tigers, of course. When they competed in Season 5 Worlds, they were the Coup Tigers, and they got second place to SKT. So really great 2015 for them, and we'll see what 2016 has in store aside from a few roster changes. I'm still focusing on the last matchup, I guess.
I guess so, but most deliciously, Doa, as they wear the black and orange, it was the crushing of the Fnatic's flawless season fans' hopes and dreams that really made me love the Coup Tigers.
I know you love that. I love their wacky outfits and zany personalities. Are you ready to ROX? Is what that said there.
Yes, we are ready to ROX. They renamed themselves this. It is not a sponsor.
Nope.
But when times were tough, this is just what they said, okay? I'm not making this up.
This is what they've told us.
They came together like a pile of rocks.
Which doesn't really seem like it's that together unless they're really heavy rocks, I guess. They're really heavy rocks. And on the other side, a team with a bit of heavy rebuilding to do. It's CJ Entus.
And are you excited to wait 6 more weeks until Ghost and BDD turn 17? Because
no,
I sure am.
Yes. Yes, I am.
In the interim, though, we are going to have the same roster we saw earlier this week. Untara, Bubbling Sky, Kramer, and Madlife, who didn't look so hot in their first game out, but made it pretty competitive against SK Telecom in game number 2. Untara actually did have some nice teleport ganks. Madlife played very well on Alistar.
Yeah, and they really are counting on Madlife to be the backbone of this team right now. You know, he has to be the sort of sturdy rock without using the rock analogy too much that they need to build the rest of this squad off of.
But see, they only have one rock.
He is the rock.
There's one rock on this team, but there's a lot of rocks on the other team.
So which is stronger, a solid bedrock or just a pile of rocks?
Well,
we'll find out.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, that's right. What a great segment. Let's just move into the game. We don't have to say anything else now. It's perfect. It was perfect.
Well, the big change, of course, is going to be Peanuts, and this is going to be interesting because he's such a different style of jungler to Hojin.
Yeah.
Or Wisdom, previously on the Tigers. And Tigers seem to be fighting against their own early game a lot of the time, as we saw at the World Championship, coming back from very large deficits, and that has been their style for quite some time. But Peanut is a bit of a loose cannon, very good mechanically, very good in the early game. But once it goes past laning phase and he can't play it like it's solo queue anymore, he tends to make very questionable decisions. And he didn't get a lot of play time on Najin, mostly just sat on the bench while Watch was the starter. So now that he's under no phase tutelage, how much has he evolved in the last couple of months? And will he be the one to bring out a stronger early game in the Tigers?
Well, that's really the question, isn't it? I mean, because, yeah, he may make their early game a lot more aggressive, a lot more flashy, but he doesn't have the experience and the poise that junglers like Wisdom and Hojin had.
Well, he does have big carries in Smev and Prey. So as long as he does okay in the early game, I think that he can rely on his teammates to just drive it home to the win. Prey has been in the top 4 in Korean solo queue for the last several months. He's just been on fire, back in form.
Wow.
Ever since late in the summer season. He had a bit of a rough early summer season, but then he powered up all the way through the World Championship and beyond.
Yeah, they did look really good in that World Championship until they met SKT. It's a theme, guys. It's a theme. Yeah.
So Lysandra and Lulu banned out for the Tigers. Rise, the first ban on the CJ Entus side, and there is the GP.
Twisted Fate banned by
I think this is, if you're worried about it being picked on the red side as a possible last pick, then you go ahead and get rid of that. And now we still have MF available. We still have Kindred available. Should CJ want to ban out one of those champions, Trundle, Alistair, there's the MF ban.
All right.
Will be a hover over Riven, which would be obviously a very surprising first pick, but that is just one of Smeb's signature champions, and it will be Kalista, still heavily prioritized. We've seen Kalista first picks in 2 games so far this evening out of 3.
Yeah. It's been strong.
But that will mean a Fiora over to Untara and an early Thresh grab for Bubbling. But Peanut will get his hands on Kindred, and that is a very exciting champion for Kindred, or for Peanut to have. You can see him nodding in approval
and
right there.
I like the takeaway of Alistar from Mad Life too. Obviously, Gorilla can play it wonderfully, but I think Mad Life right now, it's one of those champions you just don't want him to have.
Well, speaking, I mean, he obviously is a legendary Thresh player too, so we'll
True.
see how he goes.
Well, I suppose, yeah, they already picked the Thresh. Never mind, forget everything I just said. Whatever.
We'll see. We haven't seen him play it so far this season.
I blame our cabin flame. You don't want flames inside your cabin very often.
No, that sounds like a disaster in the wilderness.
Very dangerous. Disaster in the Wilderness sounds like a Hallmark movie or something.
A Hallmark movie?
You know, it doesn't sound like one of those serious, you know, adventure survival films. It sounds more like, you know, a triumph of the human spirit kind of thing. You know.
Usually Hallmark goes with more, you know, close to home tragedies where you don't actually have to have any kind of special effects, like overcoming the trials of cancer.
You don't need special effects for living in a forest. You have to rent rooms in a hospital if you're going to do a movie about cancer. Boom.
Well, Quinn is actually going to be our last pick here. And, well, we saw it come through from Fiora, against Fiora in our first series, and this time they will be directly taking it into the lane. Kuro on LeBlanc, straight into the Victor. So Smeb says, all right, Sassen, I'll just take this Quinn up into the top side and directly pit it against Untara's Fiora.
We saw it work pretty well, honestly, against the Fiora that someday fielded in our last series. When it was one-on-one, I mean, no doubt Sassen was winning those duels, so it's going to be really interesting to see what Smeb can do on this pick.
Now they really have to think about this AD carry pick. Probably, I would say Lucian, yeah. Lucian here because they're going to be able, Lucian's great in this particular context because with the culling you can poke very effectively, and they don't have a real tank. Basically they have, or Ashe, okay. I would say Lucian maybe a little bit better, but with the Ashe they do have pick potential against the very squishy champions that are on the ROX Tigers. They don't really have a tank beyond the duration of Gorilla's Alistair ultimate. So we're talking about fighting under a very short active ultimate from Gorilla. Otherwise, they're going to be purely effectively about creating picks with this composition and dueling very effectively. So the ROX Tigers putting a lot of faith in their one-on-one capabilities because the team fight coming through from CJ is going to be a lot stronger, much more crowd control and AoE, that's for sure. So,
well, it seems like a way for the ROX Tigers to just sort of say, all right, we've got better players across the board. We've got the experience. We just want to fight some one-on-ones, and we want to really try to maximize having this new early game jungler and win this one fast.
Yeah, and you know what? CJ picked themselves into this corner. They were the ones who showed both of their solo lanes on red side and allowed these counter picks to happen. So the ROX Tigers getting exactly what they want here, and it's going to be a skirmish-heavy game if the Tigers have it their way, and CJ is going to need to group or 4-1 split here, but even that's not really an option against the Quinn, so it's basically just about grouping right now as the Fiora may be having some troubles in that top lane.
It's going to be interesting, guys. ROX Tigers versus CJ Entus, game 1. Let's do it. And here we are, once again on Summoner's Rift, Season 5 World Championship runner-up.
We're always on Summoner's Rift, though.
We are. That's why I said once again.
Once more.
We've been here before.
Unto the rift.
We've been coming here a lot over the years.
Thousands of times, in fact.
Yep. Thousands of times.
Not an exaggeration, by the way.
No, we have casted well over 1,000 games at this point.
Oh yeah, I mean last year alone, I cast at least 450 games myself.
Yeah. We casted a lot. Yeah. So this game is going to be interesting because it'll be cool to see where the ROX Tigers are at, you know, after getting some downtime after Worlds, and see if CJ can look, you know, really any better in their second match of the season now. They were smacked down pretty hard in game 1 by SKT, looked a little bit better in game number 2, and obviously a win over Tigers would be pretty great for them and their fans.
Yeah, conservative level 1 warding here from CJ, and they are going to opt into this lane swap, which is what they want. They don't want the Quinn Fiora 1v1, and they aren't going to get sussed out because the Tigers did not go for an invade or any kind of deep warding, and they're not making a proactive switch right here. At least Quinn, as a ranged champion, will not be totally zoned out, but we'll see exactly how CJ play it. They are going to start with the Krugs, and they will see Quinn in the lane right now.
Yeah, and I'm really curious to see what Peanut decides to do for the first few minutes here. Just how aggressive is this guy going to get?
Well, it's a touch to Peanut too, because in the late game, he just doesn't have a tank. So playing Kindred here means that he is going to have to be very impressive if they decide to team fight, or else he will just explode.
Yep.
And Kuro,
oops,
procs is passive.
Taking a turret hit there, trying to do a bit more damage to Shy, and unfortunately, Sky. Oh.
Shy's on the bench now.
I know. It's gonna be tough seeing CJ S some other letter Y. It's been Shy for a long time, but now it's Sky.
I like Untara though. I think Untara still showed that he has some teleport work to do in the mid and late game when he coordinates with his team, but his early game TPs were really good. I thought it was interesting that he was playing Maokai and that he was playing it pretty effectively in their last match. Certainly was much more on the ball in terms of lane teleports than Duke was against SK Telecom. And now we do see Smeb walking all the way across the map just to help out with his turrets, so not sticking around for a possible dive scenario.
Yep, looks like it's going to be the fast push on opposite sides of the map again.
We missed that.
Oh yes, but it's back. Don't worry. You don't need to miss it anymore, Monty, because nearly everybody's doing it now. Again.
And
time to buff turrets.
And then we will see the swap back into the opposite lanes, and then the same thing happen on the other side of the map. And then, are you ready for it, Noah?
I'm ready. Bring it on.
Everyone's just going to group in the mid lane.
Oh yeah.
15 minutes.
ARAM time.
It is the ARAM zone.
You've entered the ARAM zone.
I never want to enter the ARAM zone, Noah.
I enter it occasionally. It's pretty fun.
Is it fun on Summoner's Rift?
Nope, but it's fun. It's fun in ARAM on the Murder Bridge.
Just checking. Just checking if you liked it in Summoner's Rift in the middle of your normal League of Legends game.
The problem is that they don't fight.
No, they don't. They don't fight at all. They dance back and forth and clear minion waves periodically.
Yep. It's not very exciting.
Oh boy, here we go. AD carry and support swapping back over to the other side of the map while the top laners
and then
clear out the wave. And then they push and kill the turret. And then everyone walks into the mid lane.
That's great. That's awesome. So while that happens in the next 5 minutes or so,
we can talk about whatever we want.
Yeah?
Because I have a crystal ball and I already told you the future.
He does. Monty is literally holding a crystal ball in his hand right now. He just told me that my bicycle is in the basement of the Alamo, too. Action? No. No action.
Gorillas sighted in the jungle. A nice place for a gorilla to be.
Well, where else would you really expect to see gorillas?
A mountain. There are mountain gorillas, though.
Well, yeah, but I mean they're jungle mountains.
Touche.
I rest my case. I mean, if it's a giant gorilla, maybe once in a while on top of the Empire State Building, I guess. But Oh. Peanut tried to find Utara, but he didn't find anything.
And now both junglers joining their duo lanes.
Yeah.
Kindred, Peanut has his sights set on the Raptor camp. Maybe not get this though. Doesn't have a lot of mid support right now. He has to be careful that Victor moves out. But they do.
He'll get it.
No, they don't ward actually the Raptors, so there won't be a steal. That's a nice Kindred stack from Peanut.
We may have a bit of a gank going on here. Sky in some trouble, takes a big chunk out of Kuro. There's a Gravity Storm going down. Peanut should get it. First blood over to the Tigers, and Kuro gets out with 6 health. Are you kidding me?
And Smev meets up with Untara in the mid lane, so they don't have any recourse on that gank, so Peanut just walks straight through the ward, sees it with the Raptor buff, but goes after it anyway, and Smev in the right position. Now it is time for the great trading of the turrets.
Well, a little bit different though this time. A little bit of damage done to the mid turret at least, and that kill is really going to get the Tigers off to a nice start. Peanut already showing that he is the aggressive jungler that we thought he would be, or that we know he already is, I guess you could say.
And that really should have been predicted, because they should have known that Peanut was in that top side just with his AD carry on the strong side of the map, and they knew that the Kindred mark was on that camp, so Sky misplaying that situation, not judging properly, and he walked forward trying to get that aggressive trade with Kuro, but if Kuro's tangling with you under those particular circumstances, and you see the Kindred mark there, you probably know where Kindred's going to be.
You can make a pretty good guess anyway. But he didn't. And therefore, first blood going over to the ROX Tigers. And now that both of the Tier 1 turrets in top and bottom are done, we're going to just see a lot of farming.
Yes, the minion wave pushing and then walking into mid lane and hoping to get some chip damage down.
Yeah.
Will be the name of the game.
Now, if Kuro had landed those
Gorilla's
chains,
in there, being annoying at the blue buff.
Why not, you know? Oh, Peanut coming in. He wants to take this. Can he smite it away? He cannot. Bubbling got it in the end.
Peanut deciding not to use his smite right there. And it said may attempt to do this dragon. That is an objective currently available that is typically taken earlier in the lane swap by the team that ends up on the bottom side as they kill that tower and then transition. But what happened in the mid lane did stall that out a little bit. So Prey will just shove this gigantic minion wave straight into the enemy turret.
Yep, try to deny as much of that for Untara as he can, trying to make it just tougher to see us. But the same thing is happening over in the other side of the map. Uh-oh. Rose being annoying again.
At his own blue buff, though.
Yeah.
Okay, so Peanut is on the bottom side. They're not actually going to do the dragon right now, even though they do have control over the bottom side of the map and that wave pushed up. That's certainly an option that they could have pursued.
Now, Gorilla could come over the wall. Talk about great support players, too. Gorilla really, even when the Tigers were losing last year, really played pretty amazingly all seasons long.
Yeah, he's absolutely wonderful. I really enjoyed the Tom Kench games that he had at the World Championship. That was, for me, the first time that I ever saw that champion played at that particular level. Especially those games against CLG were just massively impressive from him.
Well, it was hilarious, too, because he would do things like bring Prey right into the middle of a team fight, and
so
it would still work.
I was so surprised when he just deposited Jinx into the middle of a fight and Prey killed everybody.
He made it work.
He did indeed, and that's, you know, his Tom Kench play was a lot of the reason why everybody started banning that so actively at the World Championship, because once people realized what that particular pick was capable of, no one wanted to deal with it anymore. But it was really his use of Abyssal Voyage and getting behind people in lane for ganks that was pretty innovative and very crisp play. So I really like that aspect of his use of a champion at the World Championships, but he's pretty great on any support champion you could name.
True.
Hard to find something this guy isn't good with. Well, Dragon will be started by CJ now that they have the pressure down towards the bottom side of the map, but they're just going to get it. So the ROX Tigers really did have an opportunity. Instead, they're opting to go for the Rift Herald, which can be more valuable in this particular situation to break off the stalemate in the mid lane and take that mid turret, which is definitely a more important objective.
Well, let's see who they give this buff to as they kill off the Rift Squatter. Wonder who's going to end up with that.
They can give it to Quinn, too, to split push.
Yeah.
It will be Smeb who takes that. Does have to recall. Large amount of damage coming through. Peanut grabs the Rift Scuttler and another stack for Kindred on his way out.
Yep. CJ just pushing that bottom lane now. Ooh, more dueling in the mid lane, but no kills, of course.
Naturally, especially with Sky going for that Negatron cloak.
Yeah.
Madlife is here.
Oh, grab onto Kuro. Gorilla is there as well. Madlife might be in trouble. That's a lot of damage coming in from Kuro. And wow, a lot of damage in response from Sky. CJ may be able to turn this one around as Untara gets into the back lines. Gorilla pulled out with that Fate's Call. Prey's going to save him, and Peanut has to back away, but it ended up being a kill for the Tigers at the end of the day.
Wow, Kuro played that fight so well, and Kuro is a mid laner who's been around for a long time, definitely a veteran, but he was slowly ramping up, and I was really surprised at Worlds how well he did against a lot of these other mid laners, because we had been thinking of him throughout the whole year as sort of a middle of the pack mid laner, not really top tier, but the way he played LeBlanc in that last fight, getting the burst damage down and barely surviving, really knowing his limits, was a major factor in turning that around, and they did not anticipate that Smeb would be there so quickly. Now they have a TP advantage because Untara had to TP into that fight, and Smeb simply walked in, or flapped in, as it were, which is what Quinn does.
He behind enemy lined in a gliding manner that did not involve Quinn flapping. Maybe Valor flapped a little bit, but not Quinn. Twitter confirms.
That Quinn flaps, I agree.
No. The opposite, in fact. No, I'm sorry, you're totally wrong. No.
I question your ability to read Twitter.
I question your ability to determine if people are flapping their arms or not. Oh, another chunk of damage onto Sky. You know, it was dangerous for a moment in that last fight, though, as Untara got into the back lines, and you had to wonder if maybe CJ was pretty close.
But no.
Picking up a kill or two.
Kallista's ultimate is pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
As you might be aware. Blue Steel right there.
So is Kindred's.
Yeah, so is Kindred's. Blue Steel right there. Prey going to grab it. Not really too useful on him. Smeb's still playing this matchup pretty conservatively. Not wanting to try test the waters of that 1v1 quite yet. And
all right, well, Gorilla flash into the turret, gets stuck into the gravity field. Has to be pulled out by that Fate's Call. Whoops. Oh, Gorilla.
It's basically a zero risk on that play, right? You might as well just keep trying to go in and see if you can pick up a kill or get some follow-up damage, because
I suppose
you get ripped out. There's not too much of a downside, although, you know, Prey's still working on his first major item completion right now. It has taken, strangely enough, Boots of Swiftness to start off this game, so he's just trying to get around the map as fast as he possibly can right now without completing an item, but he doesn't have a whole lot of wave clear at this juncture before he gets the Hurricane.
Yeah, that is interesting. I mean, I suppose.
Hello.
Oh, teleport coming in. They're going to try to catch Kramer, and it looks like they've got a pretty good angle on that right now. Lantern, oh, knocks him out of the Lantern. Great play by Gorilla to deny that one. Box goes down, Prey low. Meanwhile, Peanut fighting with Sky. Sky has to flash away. Oh,
and there's the burn coming right afterwards. So slowly taking him out, and that was a great interception by Peanut, just trying to get in Victor's face as he was attempting to help his teammate. Really good setup and a prediction by Gorilla, just headbutting him out of the Lantern after it had been grabbed by Kramer.
Yeah, I mean, it's plays like that that really make you go, wow, Gorilla's
Well, he absorbed
amazing.
the arrow, immediately popped his ultimate to clear the CC, walked in, waited until the precise right moment to bounce him away from that Lantern pull while getting rid of the Lantern, because you don't want a situation where you punt him too early and the Lantern's still waiting there to be taken, possibly.
Yeah.
It's about as perfect as it could get.
Well, that was an MVP play to me. Yep, Crow's going to get grabbed, but Madlife, the one in trouble, he flays, but he's still not going to survive it. Peanut with another kill. And the Tigers starting to run away with this one a little bit.
Yeah, 5-0 now 4,000 the gold lead at 15 minutes, and they've built this off of just being better at farming. We see the lead developing from Smeb right now, and those kills, maybe even in turrets, but they're just playing the map better, they're getting to the minion waves better, and they're picking up the kills where they can.
I mean, they're better at farming, but they're also winning in, what I think they've designed this comp to win with is just skirmishing, right?
Yep.
I mean, they're fighting those little fights, and they're getting those kills.
And what are you going to do if you're this Fiora at this point? Smeb is very fast with his Swifties and his Yomu's Ghost Blade. He's able to zip around the map, especially with his ultimate, and you're not getting away from him if you're Untara. There we go. Smeb will be the beneficiary of the Rift Herald buff, and back to split pushing.
And Kuro's just had a good time in this mid lane, just taking big chunks out of Sky as he farms and gets farther and farther ahead. I mean, we're just seeing straight up the Tigers outplaying CJ in every position right now.
Yep, and they keep on moving Quinn to the place where Kramer is overextending.
Yep.
So they want to make another play right here. Smeb hiding in the brush. There are a lot of very good wards for CJ, though, defensively. And hello, Hawkshot's going to see Gorilla, but Smeb will be caught in the vision of the ward instead. He clears out the Rift Scuttler and then goes for the first dragon of the game for the ROX Tigers.
Yep, not much to oppose them unless CJ wants to get really aggressive here. They may, but no, the Tigers are going to secure that one immediately. Gorilla heading back towards lane. Kramer and Madlife get out of there as fast as they can, though.
Yeah, they tried to get a catch right there, leaving Peanut behind to finish off the dragon, moving before even Bray could rend and finish off the dragon. That's how fast they wanted to move onto Kramer, but Madlife is there waiting with the lantern.
You can't blame them. It's not going to take too many more kills on some of these carries for them to kind of get themselves a little bit out of reach of CJ's ability to come back and win some fights.
Yeah, and interestingly, we're seeing Peanut with a Skirmisher Saber, which is an item that we haven't actually seen much in Korea this season, but it did allow him to do some fancy dueling with Victor. And if you're going to be dealing with those 1v1s and you are going to get quite a bit ahead, then might as well go for that item because you're confident you can 1v1 nearly anybody in the game at this point with Kindred.
Yeah. And having a jungler that can just 1v1 anybody at 18 minutes is pretty good.
Yeah, well, he's way up there. He's only one level back on the enemy top laner, so he has a lot of options.
Arrow comes through. Kuro flashes out of the way, though. That was kind of a Hail Mary, but
well, it got a flash out that Kuro's W was down, so.
Yeah. I mean, it's true, but I suppose it does have a low cooldown.
Yeah, it's
lowish.
Lowish.
Lower than a lot of other ults.
But what it does do is it allows ROX just to continue to play with these minion waves, get a little damage here and a little damage there onto these turrets, throw some eagles at the minion wave.
Yep, and that's going to be mid-turret for the Tigers, too. It's a slow but steady dismantling of CJ Entus right now.
Tigers running the zoo composition. They have eagles and cows.
Yeah,
Wolf,
and lambs, wolves.
Yeah.
Yeah, and magicians.
Just bringing out the menagerie.
Yeah, undead ghosts. You know.
Is that what Callista is?
Yeah, she's a ghost,
She's a ghost?
Pretty sure. I read the lore once. She's a ghost. She's a vengeful ghost that comes back to bring you justice in the form of a spear through the middle of you.
I see. Is that really justice?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're the person who did something wrong, I suppose.
But she seems to be judge, jury, and execution. Is there some sort of spectral court that she has to answer to?
I don't think so. I don't think there's any paperwork involved with this one.
Is she following the decision of the ghostly justices?
No, I think she's just deciding herself.
Wow.
Like it was, like the criminal system was meant to be. I don't think like habeas corpus exists on Summoner's Rift as far as I'm aware. I haven't read the rule book, but
that's why Rise could just straight up put you in Rin prison.
That's true. Thresh just put you in a box. There's very little protection for your basic human rights on Summoner's Rift.
It's a rough place for sure.
It's okay. I heard Bernie Sanders addressed all that too. He's going to turn it around, guys.
He's going to free everybody from Rune Prison.
That's right.
Nerfs to Rise guaranteed.
Thanks, Bernie. Mark Cuban told him all about it. Man, what do you say him at this point? CJ is just outplayed, outclassed. And Peanut, Nutara tries to ult him, but Kuro's right there to turn around. Gorilla from the side. There's a flash from Peanut to try to turn it, or to try to finish him off. Gorilla in a little bit of trouble now, but here comes Smeb. Smeb's got plenty of damage. Not as much with that exhaust. But in the end, CJ has to burn pretty much everything they've got just to get out of that. And that's going to let the Tigers just go over and probably kill a turret.
Yeah, take out the jungle, bubbling.
Kill bubbling. Yeah, you can do that. Kill bubbling, sure. Kill Smeb. No, you can't kill Smeb because of Lamb's Airspite. You can kill Mad Life though. Kuro gets a kill there. And the Tigers can back off for the moment and then try to push this turret unless Nutara wants to give them another kill.
The Tigers' re-engages right there were just beautiful, using all their abilities incredibly well, especially holding off that Lamb's Respite. And bubbling again, he had some troubles with this against SK Telecom where he would be in the wrong place on the map at the wrong time, underestimating the amount of danger he was actually in, and we saw it there once again. As we start to look at this fight, and Smeb, bubbling right there, thinks he can go farm wolves. You cannot. There is a Quinn with a red buff right there, bubbling, and you just get exploded by the sigil. Meanwhile, they think they have Smeb, so they commit to him, but there is a Lamb's Respite, and that is just too much to handle. Everyone heals up and backs right up. Now, Nutara tries to dash forward and immediately gets chunked to 50% HP.
I just don't know why. If you're bubbling, you would go back into the jungle where you have no vision, and you know they're there. You just lost a fight to them. Why would you be going in there?
Gotta farm the wolves, man.
No, you don't. You don't need to farm the wolves at that point. You need to go back and get your health back. That ended up costing CJ 2 more kills.
Yeah, they're falling really far behind. And the threat from the Tigers of a Baron is incredibly high. They have Callista, Kindred, and Quinn.
Yep, up teleport. Smeb coming in.
Oh,
tries to find Nutara. There he is. Aha! Oh, no, doesn't quite get him. Got reposted a bit. Reposted? Reposted. Reddit hates those, I've heard. And the Tigers in position to take what would be their second dragon of the game. Repost alert.
Repost alert indeed. Scumbag reposters.
Yep. Clearly Fiora is not OP. Well, the jungle, the rift, everything belongs to the Tigers right now. Smeb with a lot of damage. Whoa, goodbye. Sky just evaporates. No ozone layer protecting that Sky. It's just gone. Man.
Just call Kuro CFCs.
Yeah, that was really a metaphor for what could happen to our planet, you know? Watch out.
He doesn't really evaporate, does he? He's not turning from a liquid state into a gaseous state.
He just kind of explodes.
He sublimates. Is that, no. What's the...
Combusts.
There is a word for a solid state into a gaseous state, but it's been like 15 years since I took a chemistry class.
Wouldn't that just be vaporized?
No, there's a different word for it.
Oh, but I mean, vaporized would apply too if you're turned instantly into a vapor.
That's true.
Yeah, there you go. Caw-caw! I don't flap.
I clearly see her flapping. Look,
no,
she's flapping.
The bird is flapping.
She's flapping right there.
Quinn is not flapping, no. See, it wasn't flapping. Tara, there's no hiding from Quinn. What, you think this is a challenge? It's not.
It's just the speed of Quinn with the since we have home guards now naturally as part of the game itself in the later stages, the speed at which Quinn can exit the base is just extraordinary. Goodbye.
Like a jet engine. Well, I think people are going to need to really start rethinking their Fiora picks going forward. Arrow onto Peanut. Pops his ultimate right away, just in case.
Unless you're someday, apparently.
Well, yeah, I suppose. But in general, I've got a feeling this Quinn is a pretty decent counter.
And we saw it take shape even against Someday, but
it did work against Someday. Even when they were winning, he was still dying in those 1v1s really quickly.
Yeah, unfortunately, the other 4 members of KT were outplaying the other 4 members of Spenu, so
yeah.
it didn't work in that regard. But yes, in the pure 1v1, it was quite strong, and Smeb having a very good game on this pick. And it's nice to see that there is an option for a Fiora counter pick here, because she has seemed a little bit oppressive in the early part of the season.
Well, Peanut finds Sky, but takes a lot of damage himself as well. No ult at the moment. He has to be careful until Prey gets there. Nice Fate's call, keeping Bubbling locked up, and that's another kill for the KOO Tigers.
And they just keep skirmishing. Every time that CJ tries to fight, they're intercepted by some member of the Tigers and taken down in these very small little team fights. Bursted very quickly, and they're playing. This composition is really hard to play from the Tigers, because you make one mistake and you can just die. But they're not making it. They're not getting hit by Mad Life's hooks. They're not getting picked off.
Whoa.
And instead, that's happening.
It's got to be so frustrating too for CJ as well, because you think you find someone in a caught out, and then 2 other members of the team show up.
Oh, just a massive amount of damage that's taking place. I mean, Kuro is hitting like a truck. You can't really kill Peanut. He had his ult down in that last little engagement, but he has Steric's Gauge now, so you start to get him low and he gets tanky.
Yep. It really doesn't get much better than that.
This IE Hurricane build from Ashe, I mean, you're never really going to be in a position where you hit multiple people.
Yeah. And it just seems like Kindred's ultimate counters the Ashe arrow so well too, you know?
Yeah.
Somebody gets locked up, you just get on top of them and ult, and they just don't die.
Or Gorilla ults.
Yeah, that too.
And who are you going to hit right now? Everybody has these boots of swiftness. They're very fast moving. They can react to the arrow, or they have movement abilities that can get them out of trouble.
Well, you kind of have to hit them with like a point blank one or something, and then hope they can't cleanse it or be saved by the Kindred ult or something like that. But that's a lot to ask for. Gorilla, the Ward Slayer. Well, except for right there. But normally he is.
He'll be back for that pink ward.
That's right. In Ward Slayer 2. Finishing the job.
Gorilla's Revenge.
Gorilla's Revenge.
Well, this is going to be a very fast Baron.
Yeah. Absolutely nothing that CJ can do about this unless they get a miracle. I don't know. There's not a miracle anything they can get.
Oh, it's just so annoying too, because Smeb is so quick on the map that he can recall and then be at Baron with his ultimate so fast that it's hard to react, because CJ right now, for all you know, Quinn is just standing in a lane brush somewhere waiting for the wave to hit. You don't have that much time to make a decision because of how just the speed at which he can rejoin the rest of his team. So easy Baron, still 0 kills in this game for CJ Entus.
10-0 is the score, and a nice 13,000 gold lead for the KOO Tigers, or KOO Tigers. See, I knew it would happen eventually. The ROX Tigers.
I mean, GE, Huya, KOO,
I know.
ROX, take your pick.
The
You know what?
Huya GE Tigers.
At least they didn't change the Tigers part, Doa. They could have had 4 totally different names by now.
That is true. Knowing Korean team naming systems, they could have just been A, B, C, and D. So we're lucky. Girl trying to find Bubbling, doesn't land the chains, or the other chains. Gonna have to be content with pressuring this turret. Whoa, Untara going in onto Prey there. Prey in a lot of trouble, gets low. Lambs of Spite keeping alive for the moment. Peanut gets 1 kill onto Untara, and Tigers turning it around. They finally do take out Gorilla. Prey still low. Whoa, Sky taken down by Kuro. Whoa, who nearly dies to the turret, then dies to Bubbling. So finally CJ picking up some kills in a bit of a messy fight, but at the end of the day, the Tigers having pretty firm control over that one.
And Smeb is going to recall and has his TP available, so he'll be coming back in at full strength right into the lane to crash it. Oh my.
Seriously. This Quinn is so fast.
Well, has Boots of Swiftness and, of course, the Alacrity enchantment on top of that. Bubbling is giving up on life.
Somewhere Hecarim is just quietly sobbing into his hands. Rammus is patting him on the back going, we had a good run, buddy. Oh, nice knockup by Bubbling, though. Maybe. Nah, never mind. It's only Mad Life. And Mad Life is sick, but doesn't have the damage. Tara not back in time, and the Tigers cruise to a pretty easy 30-minute Game 1 win.
Yeah, and a nice start for Peanut. He played very well with his teammates. We didn't see him fall out of position. He didn't die once in that game. He picked up some solo kills on solo laners. Very solid performance from the ROX Tigers start to finish.
Yeah. Wow. That was very, very thoroughly the Tigers game right from the very beginning.
Yeah. Smeb did the most damage to champions in that game out of anyone, so certainly carrying his weight and making his presence known on the map. Just fantastic movement, and Madlife looking a bit frustrated, but that's what you're going to get for the time being as CJ tries to make some massive roster moves, and Madlife the only one remaining from 2015.
Yep, he's been around a long time, but was shy. Kind of taking a seat on the bench indefinitely. We'll see how long he lasts.
Indeed.
Yep. The Tigers, though, off to a great start. Praise, he was like, yeah, I hit him with my spears. You see that? That's what you do when you're on Callista. And we'll see if CJ can muster up any sort of defense in game number 2. I mean, when a team comes in and they just pick a comp that says, all right, we're just going to fight you one-on-one, fight you in little skirmishes, and we're going to win. And then they do it.
They even team fought with that, too. And what was impressive was their masterful use of all of their abilities and really knowing their limits.
That's right. So we'll be back with game 2 between CJ and Tigers right after this on OGN Champions. Don't go anywhere.